Everyone's gaming setup is unique. There isn't just one way to do it. This tour of my setup, it's not the biggest or the most impressive, but it works for me. It's taken me many years to get to this stage. It started off with a few standard Nintendo consoles, a 32-inch 720p TV and a cheap mechanical SCART switcher. I've always attempted to keep things neat, and not too many plugs at this stage. I then purchased a Wii U, a 40-inch HD TV and a Framemeister upscaler. Now the plug count is growing. I then built my first IKEA Besta unit, and really spent far too much time on cable management. I then moved to a new house and I acquired a Switch, 3 PlayStation consoles and a CRT TV. It was time once again to upgrade my setup. My setup was designed to meet several requirements. It had to be neat and tidy, clean, with minimal wires on show. It had to make the consoles easily accessible to use and show off their unique aesthetics. And almost completely opposite to this, it also had to be discreet and hidden. I don't have a games room, and this setup is in my lounge, and as much as I love looking at these old gaming machines, other people in the family don't share the same view. I like to use IKEA Besta units. You can even go to the IKEA website and virtually design your own unit. One of the benefits is I can fit doors to hide the setup. Well, all apart from the CRT TV. Although you'd be surprised how many people don't even recognise it as a TV when they come to visit. Some have said they thought it was a hi-fi or even a fish tank. My IKEA unit is long, 3 meters exactly. It's made of 2 double width units and 1 single width. My entire gaming setup fits behind the first 3 doors on the left. The other 3 doors to the right have the usual family paraphernalia in them. To make the unit look more fancy, I've also fitted a solid oak kitchen top to it. This is one long piece that was cut shallow to fit perfectly. I've modified the 2 doors that cover the consoles. I wanted them to be fully removable. So I fitted these catches. The door just pulls off and pushes back in. I did experiment with magnets, but this didn't work out. And this was actually a really cheap solution in the end. Another benefit to doors on the setup means I don't have to do this very often. It's kept safe and clean and ready to use. What I really hate is wires. So another benefit of using IKEA Besta is I can configure the shelves and then drill some discrete holes in the back of the unit. I've kept these as small as practically possible and purposely intersected the back of the shelves to make them more discreet. And I can just lift the shelf if I need full access to the hole. As you can see, the wires are all but hidden, making it look like the consoles aren't even plugged in. And at the back I've kept the cable management simple. They're all attached using Velcro cable ties so I can easily maintain and change the setup if I need to. And all the power bricks and HDMI switches are fitted with Velcro command strips, making it easier for maintenance and if I need to change things up. Behind the door to the right of the console is where I access everything I need to start playing. On the top shelf is the plugs. As you can see, even a modest size setup like mine can accumulate a lot. In the back I've drilled 2 access holes for all the wires to come through. Each of these 3 power strips goes into its own plug socket in the wall behind the setup. I've put the 2 plugs for the TVs on different rows, as these will be the most power hungry. Although it is rare that I will have both TVs in use at the same time. At the back here I have a low voltage plug for my SCART switcher, and next to that a plug for my Framemeister upscaler. all the other plugs are for the consoles. I've labelled them all apart from this one. This is my PS3, which I've only just recently added to the setup. Each power strip is surge protected and has individual switches which conveniently light up, making it easier to see if something is still receiving power. On the middle shelf I keep my remotes. I've got my CRT remote here. It's a bit of a beast, really heavy in the hand. And it also has this LCD screen that's always on. And this is my Framemeister remote. I've actually added an English overlay sticker, as the original remotes are all in Japanese. In this IKEA tray I keep my most used Nintendo controllers, all wireless and usually charged and ready to use. On the bottom shelf I keep a cheap Logitech wireless keyboard and mouse, as I actually have a mini PC in my setup, mainly for playing older point-and-click adventure and strategy games. I can also keep bulky things like Wii accessories down here. In this tray I keep my PlayStation controllers and Wiimotes. And in these zip bags I keep my lesser used controllers and accessories. Things like the Wii Classic Pro controllers, as well as various other accessories. This is my NES. It's my original console from my childhood, but I've had it modified for RGB, and I hook it up using an RGB SCART cable. And my Super Nintendo is in really good condition. The plastics haven't faded at all. It's completely standard. This is also hooked up using a SCART cable. The N64 has been modded as well for RGB using Tim Worthington's board, with the inclusion of a de-blur feature, again hooked up via a SCART cable. My GameCube is standard, with the inclusion of a Game Boy player, and I use an action replay set using Game Boy Launcher, again hooked up with a SCART cable. I've got a first gen Wii, completely standard. This is one I bought brand new back in the 2000s. It's connected using an official component cable, just so I can get the 480p out of the console. I also have one of 11 million Wii U's. This was a birthday gift from my brother. Again, completely standard, and I hook it up via a HDMI cable. My first gen Switch is still going well. I've put on a decent screen protector, but other than that it's completely standard. And again, hooked up via HDMI. A standard PS1 hooked up with RGB SCART, as well as my PS2. And my latest edition, this PS3 Slim 80GB, completely standard, hooked up with HDMI. And finally, my Lenovo ThinkCentre. It's a completely standard little PC, again hooked up via HDMI. The main nervous system in my setup is on this bottom shelf. I use this Hydra SCART switcher. It has 8 inputs. At the moment I only use 6. And just as importantly, it has 2 outputs. One goes to my Framemeister upscaler, and the other output goes directly to my CRT TV. With all these wires under here, it's hard to keep it looking tidy, but when you step back, you can't really see them with it being tucked away on the bottom shelf. And before I forget, my Wii U gamepad is on the opposite side of the room, on its charging dock next to my sofa, ready to use whenever needed. So, my NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, PS1 and PS2 all connect to my Hydra SCART switcher via RGB SCART cables. One output goes to my Framemeister. This converts to a digital 1080p signal via HDMI to my 4K TV, and the other output goes straight to my CRT TV. The Wii connects directly to my Framemeister via component cable and again ends up on my 4K TV. The Wii U, Switch, PS3 and PC all connect to the 4K TV via HDMI through an automatic HDMI switcher on the back of the setup. On the rear of my 4K TV, I have a USB hub connected that powers 3 charging cables that I keep neatly hooked on this small plastic hook. With just these 3 cables in combo with a small mini USB to USB-C adapter, I can charge any of my controllers. As for my 4K TV, it isn't anything fancy. It's a 43-inch 60Hz Panasonic TX43MX 600B. For the way my lounge is configured, it is more than big enough. And what's great is the 2 Wii motion bars fit perfectly under the TV, to the point where no one even notices them. As for my CRT, this was very much a high-end model back in its day. It's a Bang & Olufsen 21-inch MX4200. This would have set you back over £1,000 in the early 2000s. B&O are also famous for their high-end audio equipment, and this TV benefits from this with its built-in soundbar. It sounds and looks amazing. And even better, I picked this one up for free from a family member who had it sitting on their landing for over 10 years. So in its simplest application, I choose a game from my modest library. For Super Nintendo and N64 games, I use these plastic boxes. They do a great job at keeping the games dust-free. I can print some much needed end labels, and they are easier and neater to stack on a shelf. I then switch on the power to my CRT, Super Nintendo and SCART switcher. Pick up the CRT remote and Super Nintendo controller. Turn on the TV and wait for that old familiar buzz. Insert the game and switch it on. The SCART switcher auto detects, and that's it. I find I play more often now I've streamlined my setup. The more accessible the consoles are, the more likely I am to grab and start playing a game. that's it, my gaming setup. As mentioned, it isn't the biggest or the most impressive. It doesn't use the best mods or equipment, but it works for me, and that's what's most important. I've spent many years adding to it, refining it, tweaking it, and everyone's setup should reflect their needs and wants. So don't take this video as what your setup should be like. When all is said and done, if yours works for you and brings you joy, then you too have a great setup. With all the stress of modern life, all the struggles each and every one of us has, finding an escape, even for just a moment, is a worthwhile exercise. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I hope to see you back here soon.